Sydney and other parts of NSW are in line for very severe thunderstorms this evening, with the SES warning the city as well as the northern rivers could be badly hit. The services said hundreds of volunteers are already on standby, despite it being Christmas Day, after almost 500 calls for help were made during a storm last night, over 300 of those in the city. SES Deputy Commissioner Debbie Platts urged residents to stay inside, saying even though it might be sunny for Christmas Day afternoon, bad weather is on the way. Read more, Christmas Day Weather Guide, Capital City State-by-State Forecast. Sun is going to turn to storms, forecasters are warning Sydney. Anybody travelling for the festivities should take extra care, she said. A total of 25 people had to be rescued from floods in Sydney last night. If you have to drive on the roads, please stay out of flooded waters, please plan your route carefully, not just your destination but the route you are going to get there, and pay heed to all the water warnings, she said. Christmas Eve at Bondi Beach was a washout. Heavy rain has caused flash flooding at Sydney Airport. Heavy rain has caused flash flooding at Sydney Airport. Flights were also hit at the city's airport on Christmas Eve, with images showing a deluge of water on the tarmac and even leaking into the domestic terminal. Thunderstorm warnings have also been extended to the southern slopes, including Young and lower central west and eastern Riverina. Heavy rainfall, large to giant hail, and damaging to destructive winds are forecast for Christmas Day and Boxing Day in multiple areas, including Canberra, Sydney, Brisbane and Melbourne. Thousands of residents on Australia's east coast were left without power overnight after the storms, including in parts of Brisbane. Read more, pro-Palestine protesters disrupt carols by candlelight. Bondi's streets were inundated after storms lashed the city. Sydney Morning Herald. New South Wales. Emergency crews responded to almost hundreds of calls for help on Christmas Eve, including 25 flood rescues. The majority of the rescues were for vehicles trapped in flood water and following heavy rainfall in Sydney and Illawarra. NSW says Acting Assistant Commissioner Alison Flaxman urged residents to stay safe with more rain on the way. There is a possibility isolated heavy rainfall totals will exceed 200 mm in some parts, which will bring a risk of flash flooding, she said. Scattered and widespread severe thunderstorm activity has been forecast for Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria over Christmas and Boxing Day. NSW says has prepositioned assets and has flood rescue teams prepared to respond should they be required. There were also several reports of homes impacted by the flash flooding, with water leaking through roofs and under doors into garages and car parks. Fortunately, there were no reports of significant injuries or major damage from the flood rescues, Flaxman said. Heavy rain has caused flash flooding at Sydney Airport. Water in the airport terminal after heavy rain in Sydney. Flights were affected at Sydney Airport and thousands in Brisbane told they might not get power back until Christmas Day. Victoria. More storms including hail is on the way for Victoria, including Melbourne, East Gippsland, North East and Northern Country forecast districts. About 20,000 people across regional Victoria lost power on Christmas Eve after storms lashed the state, Powercorp confirmed. The outage continues to affect about 6,100 residents across the state after new storms created more faults in the network. Meanwhile, a flash flood watch and act warning was issued for St Arnaud in the northern Grampians, almost 250 kilometres from Melbourne. The southeast of the state is cleaning up after severe weather brought hail, creating a white Christmas of hail. Thousands of homes were plunged into darkness on Christmas Eve as fallen trees caused havoc to the energy grid. Power has been restored to about 57,000 residents, Energex confirmed. Severe with damaging winds, heavy falls and large hail is forecast for Brisbane, the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, with conditions easing on Boxing Day to light showers and a possible storm. A warning for rain and hail has been issued for the Maranoa and Warrego and Darling Downs and Granite Belt forecast districts. Wild storms have hit multiple states, with thousands told they might not get power back in time for Christmas. Wild storms have hit multiple states, with thousands told they might not get power back in time for Christmas. Dozens of roads were out of action in Brisbane and on the Gold Coast. The small community of Gatton, west of Toowoomba, copped the worst of it. Hailstones were more than 10 centimetres in size and smashed Diane Castledean's solar panels. We were all settling in for and looking forward to Christmas Eve, and the next minute it was just like bombs were dropping on the roof, Castledine told.